Alright, so my mistake because we're not doing interrogation now. Well, we are supposed to anyway, but let's just say that, again, we need to put back Dracula a bit more into shape for the
Hello,
time being.
my name is Dracula, and welcome to my museum tour.
Actually, remember, this is Zolbeck's palace.
Looks like a museum.
Rude.
Don't you hate it when that happens? Really? The great powerful Dracula can't open a door?
Stop playing
Oh
around.
no, flickering lights.
Open
I've seen
it.
enough football
Do
films to know
evolve the
what that
creature,
means.
probably.
Eugene?
No, remember, it's Trevor.
You've lost your chaos power.
No
Now the
duh.
Gorgons have it.
Does that explain why I can't open a
Really?
fucking door?
Steno and Medusa.
Yep, in this continuity, the Gorgon sisters are literally
You're going
free
to need to get it
women.
back.
Also, one thing that I noticed, kinda in hindsight, some of the ways Dracula gets back to the castle setting, it's kind of a bit of a transition in a similar way the Silent Hill games do.
Interesting, isn't it?
I guess.
So let me see. So first, you turn Castlevania into Resident Evil, and now you make it also Silent Hill. Again, okay. For as radically different as the sequel is, I do wonder if the original plan was to ease us into this more radically different set of things with, again, other games, but like we spent plenty of parts going about, that obviously didn't take for reasons.
Oh, a diary now.
Go ahead, Libs.
I hadn't gone more than a few meters when the doors of the enormous elevator closed suddenly, separating me from the rest. From behind the metal, I heard the captain order me to stay in place until his return. Our mission to take the primordial chaos from the three fearsome guards would not have taken more than a few hours. However, it's been several days since he left, and I fear I may be the last man alive in this castle. It is now, with my muscles numb, and how am I writing this letter then, and my heart filled with panic, that I try to find peace in the memory of my beloved home. I recall the sad expression on the face of my parents, sweet and humble farmers, when I told them that I'll be leaving in search of an exciting life in the army. Seriously, if my muscles are numb, how the fuck am I writing this?
Yeah, whatever. You ended up with a metal pipe literally going through your head.
Same
Yeah.
way Ace Attorney characters keep writing messages in their own blood.
Well, that's the thing, Shiroi. Some people can do that in real life because, it's, it's essentially known as a dying breath, essentially. In the last burst, you do have some energy
Sorry,
left, but the more your blood seeps out or goes cold, the less you have.
Also, a ladder, a later, oof, a later description will tell instead that they're using a special type of quill that literally transcribes your thoughts, so you don't need arms.
Wow, so you're telling me the Brotherhood of Life had something as magical as a quill that literally writes your thoughts? Like, don't get me wrong.
Considering the type of setting, I think a mundane utility like that makes more sense than it needs to.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I could definitely see use for it, but it feels weird that they have that, but not better tools to use against, the creatures of the dark. Like, and trust me, something that could transcribe thoughts to paper, that would make school so much easier. Because imagine, you just need to think the paper out, and then bam.
And yeah, for some reason, the Gorgons in this game, for making the Gorgons in this game, the team decided to take inspiration from the Japanese horror, like The Grudge.
Okay, it's Castlevania. Castlevania's never been exactly.
No, I know, it just feels so random,
This
though.
looks like something from The Grudge.
Okay, bye.
I have no idea why they do it like that. It's just so... Again, okay. I think the best way to describe this game is that it puts in all the ideas, regardless of if they really work out in the end.
An ancient legend about the destruction of the Empire of Agartha describes how, during the fall of the ancestral gods, three sisters managed to escape the jaws of death, hiding forever in the depths of the earth. The shadows corrupted their hearts and withered their innocence, retaining only their youth as a mask that covers their macabre secrets. Unaware of the changing world looming over them, they prospered, obsessed with staying together until the arrival of the end of all time.
Yeah, what illusion of youth? Like, from all we've seen of them, they kinda look pretty ugly.
Well, I guess the passage of time being stuck to Dracula meant that.
I mean, like, so much of that spell of youth disguise.
It's not even a spell. It's more of a case of the like a mask. Anyway, a long path kept the ghost of Alastor from leaving the mortal world. His spirit was anchored to the weapons that made him famous in life, forcing him to brandish them for all eternity. It is said that he who carries the seal with his name will enable the master to guide his fist and teach perfection in the arts of dealing death. This sub-weapon is a bit tricky, and I'm not really finding that much use of it, but when you actually drop it, the game counts as if you have temporarily mastered all skills, so it gives you a small time limit of which you can unleash any kind of combo that you want. However, as you can imagine, during the late game, it kind of becomes very useless. But the cool thing about it is that, and a trick that I will show you later, is that in this game, you can actually convert a sub-weapon that you don't have used to into a generic state, and then you can remodel that into another one, that is more useful to you. So it's a neat way to not have you waste stuff.
Yo.
Oh, that's just mean. There you go. Some of the jailers were especially violent and unscrupulous, dismembering their own during the flesh tournaments held under the castle. As a reward for their exploit, they won the right to keep the cadaver and the armor of those they defeated. Devouring the bodies, they developed their physiques even more, becoming giant masses of muscle. With the metal, they forged crude armor, with plates leaving some parts of their back exposed, an enormous hammer capable of breaking any defense when hot. The fear they inspired the rest of their kind makes them undisputed masters of a dungeon. As proof of that, they carry a key that gives access to a section of their territory. Essentially, these are the enemies that I mentioned a couple of parts ago. If you want to, collect the keys that they hold, you have to kill them. And those, ranges from unlocking some parts of the castle to giving you access to a couple of extra, collectibles, or to just give you a lot of experience points in one go. Let me see. There you go. All the three gorgons. Oh, hold on. It wasn't long after Dracula's rise to power that the first humans from nearby regions paid homage and swore allegiance to the Prince of Darkness. In exchange for their pathetic lies, they agreed to kill anyone who did not join the cause, wherever stranger, acquaintance, or relative. With each murder they committed, their body transformed gradually into that of a foul beast, and if it were a physical reflection of their cowardly and treacherous soul. Once they were left without a trace of humanity, they withdrew to the deepest reaches of the castle to defend the interest of their lord under the orders of the dungeon guards. Anyway, all the three Gorgons are voiced by the same voice actress, Mimi Keen. Let me see what she has done. She's mostly a TV actress. This, I think, is her only video game role. Yeah, there you go.
What an interesting role.
She was in one episode of Casualty. There's that, I guess. Also, apparently, Dweebs... I guess it's BRB, right. Because apparently she was in a documentary attached to EastEnders. So that's a British soap.
Never heard of that.
Again, I keep hearing about that because Dweebs and Sherry keep mentioning it.
Oh, well, so what's the deal with it, Roy?
It's a British soap.
Yes, it's a British soap.
Okay then.
Basically, for the time being, fighting a single jailer is a bit tricky because it's best for you to actually, attack it on the back, because otherwise the armor is too thick for your whip to actually, penetrate it. Also, obviously, most of the attacks with the hammer are unblockable, so you have to just dodge. And it also throws minions at you. There we go. Sometimes he will do that bull charge, but you know, when he gets to do the wall, it's the best opportunity for you to actually attack him. It doesn't outright crashes into it, sadly. I never managed to actually bait one into doing properly that, so I guess he just stopped outright. Let's just say that, you know, as you actually progress in regaining your powers, fighting these guys will become easier. Not just a matter of dealing more damage, but actually having the right tools.
Bit of a dumbass, aren't you?
Yeah, and even the counter is not really helpful if you cannot attack from the back for this. There we go. Oh, actually, I did manage to trigger it. I forgot.
Yeah, whip his ass.
Thank you. Moving on.
Wonder if we killed him with before he gave us the key. Would the
No,
key
no, no.
just-
Subsequently, any jailer that you kill gives you automatically the key, and it drops it as a loot.
I know, I know. I'm just saying, like, in the context of this scene, how funny would it have been if, like, well, if he hadn't given us the key yet, the key would have dissipated with him.
Thankfully, it doesn't do that.
Yeah, I'll admit though, jailers are not some of my favorite enemies in this game. I feel like they took way too long to take down.
It's more like this first encounter, Drove. As soon as you get your Chaos Claws, it's where they can be easily dealt with.
Well, yeah, but you know, damage sponge mentality and all that.
Also, looks like we're in Lost Isolate. Basically, jump cut a bit in order to trim away some more backtracking. Go ahead, Pedro, for this one.
Oh, sorry. We were in the middle of a reconnaissance at the dungeon with a group of those grotesque beings at attack our detachment. They defeated all of my comrades and devoured us, unfortunate enough to still be breathing, and they fought over their weapons and armor with maces. Only I was able to escape to document what happened. Instead of escaping in combat, the largest of them never watches his back, and the smallest much more skullish? Cover themselves frequently. Moreover, the river so that all the plates it's like that guy in Pirates Free. I can't read my own handwriting. I can barely keep my blood from soaking this paper. But, you know, maybe I should just escape instead of writing this stupid diary that nobody's gonna read anyway. I can't even play dead as they would eat me anyway. These lines, is it lines? Will be my last remains. Remember my teachings, brother!
They didn't.
Damn, that one just sounded downright hopeless.
See, this is exactly why the spaceship sequence from Stick of Truth was so, completely spot on. Why wouldn't they run away if they knew they were in terrible peril instead of writing these stupid logs?
I guess to be fair, for all they knew, they could have been trapped in that bout, and literally all they could
basically
do
with the
just
chain, with the chain is a matter of not sticking too much onto it, because the more you grapple, the faster it will go. Meaning that you will actually, you know, jump down and, you know, and sustain damage. So it's a matter of, you know, take your time and not staying too much on it and finding which other spots to grab.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Have I missed anything?
Not much. We found a new enemy type, and now we're just doing some more climbing glyphs. You might be interested to know that the voice actress that voices the Gorgons apparently was in a documentary. Not so sure if she actually acted in it, but it was in a documentary attached to EastEnders.
Okay.
Also, she was in an episode of Casualty.
Well, I mean, a lot of actors in
just the one
in
appearance in
kinds
Casualty.
of games have been in a soap opera at one point or another.
Figures.
Yeah, I mean, to you, it's like I think I mentioned in another LP. One thing that did kind of amaze me was that one of the replacement VAs in 14, the first expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Is actually one of the headmasters of Waterloo Road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, how do you go from a trashy school drama, quote, to Final Fantasy?
It happens. Hello. Can you please stop having your frame rate constantly jittering?
Again, like...
Yes, jittering as much as your body.
I know what you seek. But Medusa has it. Free the dwarf.
Extend, this might be by design.
Of course Medusa's the leader of the pack.
Mm-hmm. No, it's kind of a shame kind of in hindsight that over the years for the Olympus saga, Kratos never managed to actually kill the remaining Gorgon, because in 1 he kills Medusa, in 2 he kills Euryale, but he never encounters Steno, not even in the spin-offs.
That is true. Maybe that would have been a better thing for him to fight against in Ascension instead of random RPs that we'd never met before. Just saying.
Actually, those are the Furies, Pedro. Those are a different kind of thing entirely. Honestly,
Right.
a better substitution would have been instead that lion boss in Ghost of Sparta that comes the fuck out of nowhere.
That too, sure. I just don't care about the Furies at all.
It's a bit of wasted potential. They do have a place in actual Greek mythos, so I get the idea why they actually try to employ them. Also, some of these minions love to just put stink bombs. That's some charming.
That stinks.
Ha.
Smells.
Yeah, also don't use the bats on them. It's a bad idea because they start running all over the place and they hit you most of the time. I mean, there's still a good source for, for blood, so there is that. There we go. Actually, Java, that's a good question. I forgot if I actually asked you. I think I did ask you for the first game, but when did you actually got to try this?
Well, as usual with a lot of games that were on the Xbox 360 or PS3, had to play this over at a friend's house because I did not own either of those consoles.
Yeah, I get
think
it.
I tried this game. Oh god. What year did it come out?
2014.
Okay, then I tried it about a year after it came out here and there. I wasn't as into Castlevania at the time, so wasn't as familiar, but I enjoyed this game. Like I said, okay, it's hard for me to gauge if I do like this game better, or if I like the first Lords of Shadow better. Okay, it really just feels like about a two paths here. Lords of Shadow, you could argue maybe it feels the most safe, but I reckon that Lords of Shadow is the best start. It's a venture that can feel at home for Castlevania veterans and whatnot, while also bringing some new stuff to the table with its take on things.
Anyway, while you're ready, Jova, go ahead with this one. Why not?
I can't understand why it can be so difficult to advance for the castle. Behind us, a horde of hungry beasts are hot on our heels, while in front a dark abyss blocks our path. If that weren't enough, a small man insists that we cross using some sort of magical merchandise, is trapped in some sort of cage, and although we hear him clearly, the meaning of his words is entirely indecipherable to us. We have no choice but to draw lots to see who would use the strange machine at the end. Roland fell first, then Eric was crushed, Frederick almost made it, but he became overconfident and slipped at the last moment. Why can't it be as easy as stabbing the enemy in the gut with a sword? The Brotherhood should have sent people better trained than us. You know what I love? This reminds me of a line from Mask of Zorro during a training segment. Basically...
Oh, sorry, Jova, hold on, because this next segment is a bit important. Don't worry, we'll have time to talk about it, because An old friend is in that cage. And somehow he managed to find his way all in the depths of Dracula's castle and managed to get sealed inside that fucking thing. I wonder who that may be. I think we're about to actually interact with him in a second. Yeah, it's just a matter of, first of all, a small tutorial. Basically, you perform this with this mechanism. You actually put forward, or on their side, this kind of platform, which looks like those things that create bubbles. I don't know why they look like that. They look cool, I guess. And you use that to move forward. This is a small one to teach you about what's the puzzle to come. And I think now we're about to see who's inside the cage. Yeah, there we go. It's the Chupacabra!
Kojima.
In this case, he actually has a proper voice. He's voiced by Matthew Clancy.
Oh, what a great and unexpected honor, my prince!
You're a little shit.
What can this humble servant do for you, my lord?
Resign.
Where can I find her?
I know where she is, Excellency.
Hmm.
If
But-
I was with you,
Of course.
I'll find her.
Try any one of your tricks, and it'll be the last.
Yeah, Gabriel is just not fucking around anymore.
Won't regret it.
There's not Gabriel now, is he?
Gracious
Well, he still is.
Still is. He just
he's
also has
just
a
a
new
he's a-
name as well.
Oh man.
Okay.
Anyway,
Let me write this. It's not like he rejected the name Gabriel. It's more the
there we go.
Belmont thing.
It had always been thought that the Chupacabras was a sort of blood-sucking monster until later research showed that they were more like mischievous forest creatures that played with the belongings of gullible travelers. However, that latter assertion was not exactly true either. In fact, there are not many Chupacabras. Rather, it is a single immortal being that has roamed completely free from time immemorial, causing confusion around the world. Its incredible wisdom is only comparable with the originality of his mischief and valuable relics he carries in his backpack. In his final years, it followed Dracula, who, tired of his jokes, locked up in the deepest dungeon, depriving him of continuing the business established in the castle. He literally just taken and yanked it into the seal.
Damn duckbill platypus, don't run over my books. Bring back my stuff, you macrophiliac baboon.
Macrocephalic.
Macrocephalic baboon.
Yeah, apparently the Master Librarian from Symphony of the Night had some words to say on the matter, but yeah, guess what? All the time that we all got bamboozled by the Chupacabras,
It was
always the same one Chupacabra.
Wait. So you're saying that all those Chupacabras was the one same Chupacabra?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Chupacabra is Celebi?
Kinda, I suppose.
Joy. Sure, your
Anyway.
favorite Pokemon has been dicking with us.
Anyway, there you go. We just need to find a way to lower the seal and then transport it to the other side. Keep going, Joe, in the meantime.
But now, back to what I was saying earlier, in the sense like, well, the first Witch of Shadow game, I'd say, nailed it, pretty much. Like, yes, it was a very different venture. Like, insinuating that Dracula was the start of the Belmonts was something that Iga specifically made certain he did not want to happen, and, well, they did it. But again, despite it being a radically different take on things, it still is familiar enough where it feels in place enough to be a Castlevania game. This game clearly does stuff that could only be done in a sequel unless you really wanted to risk confusing people from the get-go. And even with it being a sequel, I dare say people can still be very, very confused. Again, it's not necessarily bad, but as I've been saying throughout this playthrough, it feels like they took every idea they had, regardless of whether or not it was a good idea, or if it would just feel like it was bloating the game or whatnot. Again, I think it still is overall a good game, but it is definitely not as good as it could have been.
Can we leave him in the cage?
Sorry, Dave, so we kinda get to frame. I can tell you this, there won't be much bamboozling, from him in this game.
How funny that the guy who he'd been constantly stealing from eventually became his boss.
Now connect the cage
Now, why didn't you ever just talk to us before, I wonder?
Well, he did. Remember, Jova, he was mostly in a mocking tone. He was constantly playing hot and cold with Gabriel,
Well,
saying
he never-
something, oh, get over here, monkey boy, and stuff like that.
Yeah, you
He
know.
even a different voice actor in the first game. Let me see if it actually is credited.
Wouldn't it be funny if they actually got Kojima to voice him originally?
No, Kojima doesn't know how to speak English properly unless it's with a very thick accent.
Yeah, that's nothing a bit of voice editing couldn't have solved.
That is true, Jova, but what I mean is that in the first game he is the Chupacabra as an actual English voice actor.
Well, obviously. What I mean is, like, well, maybe Kojima voiced him in some semblance.
I don't know, I did for the Japanese dub. That was an entirely different thing.
Yes. Alright, come on out.
Yeah, there you go. The Chupacabras in the first game was played by Jason Sampson, which didn't do much in his life, in his career. So, there's that. There, you happy now?
My lord, my prince, thank you so much for this infinite kindness. I don't know how to thank you enough.
Literal bootling. There you
You
go.
gave me your word. Make sure you keep it.
And
Horse?
don't put your head
Yes, of
near my
course.
crotch again.
Actually, that was a foot.
That's not much better.
Seriously, I mean, the guy's head face looked like it was near his crotch. I'm like, what?
The fuck are you doing?
Getting down with himself.
Either that or this is the developers going crazy at the director.
And
This is the spirit of
open
Kojima.
sesame. Yeah, very much the spirit of Kojima.
I hope I have pleased you, Excellency.
Get out of my way.
Whatever you say, Prince. With your permission, Majesty, I would like to reopen my humble shop here in the
Nice.
castle.
Ah.
For your own personal
sound?
needs, of course. With your leave,
Yeah, just take the hint and get the fuck out.
I didn't say yes.
Oh, of
I
course
hope
I'll
to be of
provide
service to you,
discounts, but I'll
both
still
rich
charge you,
and
my
powerful
lord.
one.
Well, if we
It's
don't
been one of those days.
if we don't let him be a shopkeeper, who's gonna be the convenient shopkeeper who happens to be at the end of the game conveniently so we can stock up on shit?
The merchant from Resident Evil
I
4,
suppose.
that guy seems to pop up everywhere.
In the next part, however, we actually get back our the Chaos Claws, and say thank you to the Gorgons. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.